There is a staircase in a castle in Normandy, France, that has been walked on every single day for over 400 years. No metal, no adhesive, just wood, cut precisely, fitted into itself. And it doesn't move, not a millimeter. The chair you bought 3 years ago is already wobbling. That's not a coincidence. That's the result of something being deliberately left behind. For most of human history, woodworkers didn't use screws to hold things together. They used the wood itself, the mortise. And tenon, the blind dovetail, the wedged-through tenon, a joint that, physically, mechanically, gets tighter the more weight you put on it. Not looser, tighter, because the wood expands inside itself under load. A screw does the opposite. It grips on the way in and loses that grip with every season that passes. Heat expands the wood. Cold contracts it. Humidity swells it. Dryness shrinks it. And each cycle works against the thread, just a little. Over years, that little becomes a lot. The joint that felt solid on day 1 becomes the wobble you feel on year 3. The people who built that staircase in Normandy knew this. Every master carpenter from the Roman Empire through the Renaissance knew this. The knowledge wasn't secret. It was just normal, the way you built things. So what happened to it? 2 things. The Industrial Revolution made screws cheap enough to use by the thousands. And the housing and furniture industries discovered that particle board plus a screw gun is dramatically faster than solid wood joinery. Speed 1, volume 1, and the actual hands-on knowledge of how to cut a proper mortise, how to fit a dovetail so tight it doesn't need glue. It stopped being passed down. Not because anyone buried it, because the economics made it inconvenient. Which brings us to the problem that nobody in the woodworking space talks about honestly. Because here's the thing, and I'll be direct about this, because I think most people watching already know it on some level. The technique is not actually the hard part. If you've been woodworking for any amount of time, you probably have more skill than you give yourself credit for. The problem is almost never your hands. It's almost always your information. Specifically, your plans. I came across something recently that genuinely surprised me. A collection of over 16,000 woodworking plans. Not scraped from the internet, not recycled diagrams from old magazines. Actually built and tested in a physical workshop before anyone publishes them. Every measurement verified. Every cut list checked against the actual build. The kind of plans where step 4 doesn't assume you already figured out what step 3 never explained. I'll put the link in the comments if you want to take a look. No pressure. It's just the most complete thing I've found for this specific problem. And if you've ever burned $60 of lumber on a plan that turned out to be wrong, it might save you some frustration. But back to why the technique disappeared. Because the economic story is only half of it. The other half is this. When the furniture industry moved to screws and particle board, they also moved to a design logic built around screws and particle board. Flat pack, modular, replaceable. Everything designed to be assembled once and eventually discarded. And in that world, there is genuinely no reason to learn a wedged tenon. The technique becomes irrelevant to the product. Except that it's not irrelevant to you. If you're building something with your hands, something you want to last, something you want to pass on, the old joints are not just stronger. They're fundamentally different in what they say about how a thing is made. A screw holds 2 pieces of wood together from the outside. A mortise and tenon makes them one thing. There's no fastener to fail, no thread to strip. The joint is the structure. And here's the part that most people don't realize until they cut there. First, proper through tenon. It's not harder than screws. It takes more precision. But precision is just practice. The technique itself, once you have a plan that actually tells you the right dimensions, the right tolerances, the right sequence, is within reach of any woodworker who can already cut a straight line. That staircase in Normandy wasn't built by someone with supernatural talent. It was built by someone with the right information, working with the right method. The method never went away. It just stopped being the default. And maybe it's time to make it yours again. The link is in the comments.